All right. Hey, y'all. Welcome to what month is it, Joe? It's April. April 2025, actually. To the Cloudy County Community Call or land grant themed community around M365 and learning in general, where we hopefully going to teach you how to do something cool. Joe's got some pretty interesting demos lined up for us. I know he's been working hard on it late at night. I'm excited to see how you all will see this, how you'll kind of like your ideas on it, like how would you modify it and use it for your use case. So I'm pretty excited about our topic, which is going to be agents, kind of a buzzword right now. If you haven't heard the buzzword, an agent is a AI experience with a purpose. It is a specific task-based Copilot, if you will. And so Joe's going to show you how you all could make one today. So you'll even be able to follow along if you want. Um, but my name is Dewayne. I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft. Used to work with Joe for a really long time. I've worked with a lot of you for a really long time, and I'm happy to be here. And Joe, what are you now? You're
I am well. I'm
MVP,
I'm still
sysadmin.
a systems administrator and second year of Microsoft MVP. We'll see if the third year comes up. We're all just under the gun to go through our next review for that. So we'll see. If that works out, great. If not, it's not going to change what we're doing here. That's for sure. So this is
Yep.
what we love to do and work with extension programs. Happen to be able to do that across the country is really fun. So I think we're going to get started with just a few what's news like we usually do. And then we'll dive into our topic. So I'll get a share going here.
Yeah, if you're new to the community, we kind of divide the thing up into a few pieces. We'll start off with what's new because there is always something new. I don't think we've ever had a month where, hey, there's nothing new, y'all. Like nothing changed in technology anywhere. So there's always something to share there. And then we'll do our feature highlight, which this month will be agents in Copilot Chat.
Great. So something that I'm just in our calendar, and I'm gonna bring up a new meeting. This is something that, gosh, when did we lose this, Dwayne? It's like been over a
Long time
year, I
ago.
think.
Yeah.
Too long to forget. We used to have some ability to do some better integrated like meeting notes, and EDU lost that quite a while ago. Ultimately, probably for the better. This new method is finally back. It's based on Microsoft Loop, the Loop components. So I've just got myself a new meeting I've got scheduled here, and hopefully you all are going to start seeing this ability here to add an agenda. So I can click add an agenda now, and this is going to open up and generate and start a loop component. I've got my meeting notes here. It's going to give us a template with an agenda, some notes, some follow-up tasks. So if you're someone who's using Loop, this should hopefully be really familiar. If not, this is going to be a great way to get into and involved in using Loop and taking advantage of this tool now. When you send this out and send the invite out, this is going to be available to everybody that was on the invite. I recently sent this on an invite with about 1,230 people. Um, it worked out. We pulled it up online actually and did a few edits while we were kind of reviewing and doing some training,
Did not
and that
crash
worked
the
out.
internet.
Didn't crash, no.
That's good.
So yeah, we've got here we've got a bulleted like a little bulleted list here, like a task list. So we could what might we do? Review previous agenda or previous notes. Um, Open the table up for discussion. Um, plan next meeting. Whatever we might put here, um, we've got going. Now, what makes this really cool is, okay, you send this off and you're meeting, maybe it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, and you're hoping people are going to help you build an agenda. You put an agenda in here. Maybe you'd like some people to help put topics on there and thoughts around that. Well, with Loop, what we're able to do is take this component, this loop component, we can do other things with it. One thing I can do is I can copy this component. Now I would hit save and I can send this off and invite some people. But maybe a week before this meeting is coming up, and I look in and I'm like, people haven't really participated, added something to the agenda yet. I could copy this component and I could come into email. I could start a new email message and I could send this off. Maybe I've got some key players. I really hope to get their input, send this off, put them into 2-line, or I want to send that. And then I can just Control V and paste that component into this email. And this is a live loop component. We're looking at reasons why we really love loop. It puts that information in front of someone where previously maybe you did something like this and you wanted to get an agenda from someone. Maybe you're sharing a Word document in here and you want everybody to edit the Word document. This is right inside of Outlook. They can edit and update this right inside of Outlook, quick and easy to get them to participate. So
less chance of them getting distracted.
Yeah.
If you're like, hey, click this link and do this thing. Well, you just asked them to do something that made them do more work, right? And then maybe they click it and it opens their web browser and they get distracted by if you're Joe, it's 400 other browser tabs that he has open. In this case, the thing that you're asking them to do is already open. Like they don't have to do anything else except just type. They didn't have to open an app that in the email, in the Teams chat, it's already there. Way less friction.
Exactly. And while you're in the meeting, so we could bring up this meeting note. You could bring it up in the loop component itself, in the loop app itself. There's an app for loop. But you could have this component open. And while the meeting's going on, you could be ticking off things that you're doing, make sure you've completed these. Somebody's listening and taking some notes. Do some follow-up tasks here if you want. If you're someone who has Microsoft Teams Premium license, excuse me, and you've got transcripts turned on for your meeting, you're going to get an AI set of notes created. And there might be some follow-up tasks. There'll be some good notes in there. If you've got something like that, you as the person with that license will have that AI generated set of notes from that meeting once it completes. This might be a nice place to take like those follow-up tasks that are produced and make that more easily available to everybody that attended if you want. I highly recommend just getting Teams Premium. For EDU, it's quite inexpensive typically, so that would take care of that. This makes it available to everybody. You can take notes live while it's going on. Very quick, very collaborative. You can see who's making edits, things like that. So anyway, it's a great little tool that we finally have back in EDU. Any questions? I would like to know, I was hoping if somebody confirm that they're seeing this, that'd be great. I'd like to know. I've seen it in a couple of our tenants so far, so I think it's definitely making itself out there. I don't know if it's completely deployed, but sometimes they roll out.
I would also point out, like, and if you said it, Joe, I apologize, I missed it. When you're in a Teams meeting, like actively in a Teams meeting, the notes button will be coming back too. Like that's what is powering this. Like we were missing that in education specifically. So Microsoft, got rid of the old system that did notes, and the new system, which here is powered by Loop, didn't make it to the education industry yet. And so that's a part of this process is those notes coming back. So you'll be able to create this meeting notes thing just from the meeting itself as well. Awesome. Wisconsin has it. That's good to see. So yeah, thanks for confirming that you're seeing this stuff come back. And the question about could OneNote work too? Interesting thing about this technically is called a loop component. This thing that you can kind of put it inside of other apps. So Joe showed how to do it inside of an email. You can put a loop component in a OneNote notebook. So if you got a OneNote open, you got a page where you keep all your stuff, you can drop this meeting agenda right there, and it will load the whole thing right inside of OneNote. So yes, you could do that.
Yeah. Loop is I'm using it now in ways I didn't think I would use it. I'm using it for presentations sometimes. So it's pretty fun to do that. Dwayne, I was going to check real quick to see if I've got this meeting I created. Going to see if we end up with some type of notes yet. Or might be during the meeting is what you're saying, maybe. So yeah, we'll look for that notes tab to come back up. Next thing I want to show that hopefully is rolling out for everyone too, that we had for quite a while with Copilot through the Bing Enterprise, Bing with CDP, all these different iterations. Something else that we've got back now, which is great, is I'm going to open up Microsoft Copilot, and this is Copilot Chat. This is our corporate version of this. I'm logged in with my education account, my work account. I know that because I've got our enterprise data protection green shield available showing up. I'm in the location where using Copilot in this way, we know that our prompts and our data use isn't being used to be shared with the next version of some language model. Our privacy is protected, things like that. But I'm in Copilot. And what we've got new is the ability to add images back. And we could upload a file, but image types were not available with respect to that type of file. Now we've got images back. So what maybe could we do with something like this? Let me see if I add, you bring in an image. And I'm gonna throw a prompt at this. So I've got some default prompts here Copilot's given me, and I've got a little icon for other prompts that I have. I've got a huge set of Microsoft provided prompts if I want to use, and I can also have bookmarked my own prompts. So I got a prompt here that I'm gonna click on, and it's gonna automatically put that into my prompt. Just I'm gonna try to get some alt description out of this image. Let's see what we get out of this. And our favorite Star Trek going on here. See how well this
Of course.
does with.
What episode was that in?
I think that was a Christmas special.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing there, but yeah, I don't think they had. I don't know. Did they have other ugly Christmas sweaters back then? I don't know. So I asked it for two things. I want to describe this in detail. And then I said I want a shorter, alt descriptions, I think are recommended somewhere 100 to 150 total characters. I've got 7 people. Let's see. It almost got that right. There's 8 in here. Futuristic sci-fi themed room, bridge of a spaceship, festive holiday, patterns, control screens. That's pretty cool. What's interesting here is that when through privacy, through this corporate capabilities of this tool, our privacy is being protected. I've seen this happen when this first rolled out. It happened only one time and very slowly. That I actually saw the images of the faces blurred out very briefly. And that is what's happening in this case, is it will blur those images for you when it goes up. So that's really impressive, talking about our enterprise data, privacy, and things like that.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
We've all heard the term deepfake, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the power of generating AI images of Joe and Dewayne robbing a bank, and getting away in a getaway van. Like that's something we didn't do. And so that's why that's happening. And I've seen people try to use this with honest, genuine intention. Make my profile picture look better. Give me a professional headshot version of myself. That's not what this tool is built to do, and the privacy that's built into it will prevent that from happening. So you're going to see it's weird that it says obscured with rectangular blocks. Like normally for me, it just says like their faces are blurred out.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but that's on purpose. Like Joe said, that's an intentional protection built into the product.
See if I can get it to really double check that real quick one time. Okay, it's only picking up 7. I've had it like, yeah, you're right, there's 8. So, but that's not bad. That's pretty fun. Um, I like this for alt text.
Yeah.
Imaging like this, it'll do OCR. Let me see. See if I can get it to pull up. There's a slight, there's some happy holidays in there somewhere. Maybe, maybe down in this little bottom at the bottom down in here. But I've seen it it'll pull text out of your images. I've sent it an image that was some handwriting, and it was able to understand the handwriting and pull and basically OC that R out. If Yeah, hopefully that'll be helpful. Things we can do with images again is great to see. I wonder if anybody remembers using that, what they were using it for. But anyways, great to have that back.
I'll give another, like alt text is a good, legitimate, like valid business use case. Another one is if you're ever using Copilot to generate images, you can upload an image and ask Copilot to help you develop a prompt that would create an image like that one.
Nice.
And that will actually get you a really good head start on the basis of a good prompt for image creation and kind of show you how Copilot thinks about that image. And then you just add your own, like special touches to it, if you will.
All right. That is, those are the main things we're going to cover for kind of what's new. I think at this point we were going to just start down the agent path and start talking about that. Dewayne, were you going to share a couple slides maybe on that, or just?
Yeah.
I think we had. We don't share too many slides, but I think there were probably a few that were going to be helpful to explain some of the differences of agents we might see in here and the ones that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. PowerPoint's not our typical go-to here, but I want to frame this up for, oh no, there's a problem displaying the content. Come on.
Because you're going to find agent starting to show up in a number of different places in your Microsoft suite. One other one might be you're going to start seeing them, or you probably are seeing them now in SharePoint and SharePoint site, document libraries. What we're going to mostly dive in today is going to be Copilot Chat, these agents. You can see some of them along the right-hand side. And the ones that we generate in this tool in this way are ones that all of you can use. This is not something that requires an extra license, basically.
Yeah, if PowerPoint Live's not going to cooperate with me, then I will just share the window. We'll make it work. Gosh, it won't let me do that one either. Hang tight. Apologies.
One way, while he's going to pull it up to think about an agent, is are there prompts you use a lot of? Are there prompts you use often? Start thinking about those. Is there some process that you use Copilot for? Is there some process you're using one of those generative AI tools for? That's what we're going to talk about as a way to kind of, I'll say compartmentalize it, but a way to make that simpler and easier to access.
Joe, how's that looking?
Looks good.
Okay. Sorry about that. My computer's being complicated today. Okay. So we'll do a quick recap of Copilot Chat, which is something we talked about like a month or two ago. But bringing into the conversation this thing called an agent. Like, what is an agent? The bigger vision, like long-term goal, is you will be able to talk to Copilot and ask it a question about some sort of business specific thing, and it could reach out to an agent and answer that question for you. When you talk to Copilot, like think of like Copilot technically itself is just one giant agent. The whole thing is just one massive agent that can talk to the entire internet. Well, we might want to have a more specific conversation, like about a specific website or a specific set of documents. That is narrowing the conversation, the scope of the conversation. That's something that we would do with an agent. So we're going to take the power of chat, like the things it can already do, and we'll plug in agents into it. So you'll actually see agents show up inside of the Copilot Chat application. There's also, for the IT nerds here, there are IT controls for this that the admins can make sure everything is working how it should work. This is the old Copilot Chat interface. Looks pretty familiar. You see your starter prompts there in the middle. You see your history over on the right-hand side. After the upgrade to Copilot Chat, you see some new naming. But most importantly, relevant to today's conversation, is you see the top right-hand corner, you see agents. So I would like for all of you to play along with me a little bit. I'll drop a link in the chat. It's going to be www.office.com/chat, not cat, /chat, Dwayne. Oh my gosh, I can't type today,
prompt
Joe.
to create some cats.
Yeah. My fingers are not working today. There we go. Office.com/chat. So if you're on the call with me, I'd like for you to pull that up, and you should see up at the top right-hand corner, you should see where it says agents. You also want to make sure that you see this green shield. That is super important. We want to make sure that we're signed into it using our university credentials. Now, let's talk about agents a little bit. These agents that you can create will give you a tailored experience. It looks just like Copilot. It is Copilot, right? It's just a tiny pilot. It's like a little, the term agent is just pretty self-explanatory, honestly. You are speaking to an agent about a thing. Joe has a really cool demo lined up, and I'm not going to bore you to death with slides. We'll get into that in just a second. But these agents in this example on the slide can talk to you about like legal stuff, or imagine an IT agent. Like, how do I reset my password? Well, that's probably in a website somewhere, right? Your IT department probably has that process documented somewhere. So you could make a bot that people could go ask it questions and say, how do I connect to stuff? Like, well, how do I get on the VPN if you're still using VPN? How do I reset my password? How often do I have to reset my password? Like, those kinds of questions are pretty specific, right? When you talk to Copilot in general, it has access to tons of information. So the only way that you could actually narrow down that conversation about making it IT specific is to include all of that in your prompt every single time. And so think of the builders that create agents. They're doing all that work for you. They are setting the stage of this is what this thing does. And you could literally just type into it, how do I reset my password? That's not a good prompt in most circumstances because you're lacking all the necessary context about your environment and how that actually works. But with an agent, the builder of the agent programmed all that into it. And so it understands like, oh, the person wants to know how to reset their password in XYZ system. So very, very powerful. Lots of tasks that you can do alongside agents as well. Like think of an agent as following a particular like business process or topic, a task. Review this contract. Look at all these resumes and compare it to this job description. Find me highly qualified candidates that I should call first. Um, get me answers about stuff that's specific to a particular topic. Those are all, I would say, low hanging fruit kinds of things. And so we imagine agents for processes, agents for subjects and topics. And a single employee could be working with numerous agents based on whatever it is that you're doing throughout your day. Um, Skip through some of the nerdy stuff. I talked about prompting. The same prompting, like the work and the effort that you would normally put into a prompt to make it a really good prompt. Joe's going to show you how you would put that prompting work directly into the agent to save your people who are using the agent a lot of time, like telling the agent how to behave, what its purpose is, where to find information, how to respond to that information, the goal, the context, the source, the expectations, all that will be programmed into the agent. And we do that using what are known as instructions. Instructions are the building blocks, the initial part of how the agent is going to behave. That is all done as a prompt. You can point it at knowledge. You can say, this knowledge over here is where you're going to go to get that information from. Don't use the entire internet. Use one specific website. And then later in future sessions, we could probably talk a little bit about actions. So that's kind of a primer for Joe's teed up a really interesting real world example of how to create and use and leverage an agent and start asking it some questions. So hopefully I got you teed up there, Joe. You want to kick us off with a cool demo?
Yeah, I'll bring in share again here. I want to reiterate something you said. You showed the concept around we talk about good prompts, personas, context, things like that. And we've got the ability here now to save our prompts. We can view our prompts. So we might have a really great prompt that we spent some time in, and these are nice short little prompts. A lot of these are maybe kind of missing some of those other aspects of what could be a better prompt that we'd like to talk about. Personas. A lot of cases we talk about describing who you are. Your extension agent, 10 years experience. You are working with social media and need to produce a flyer about XYZ. That might be your prompt minus the XYZ, and you use that constantly all the time. What we're going to show you is maybe a way to create an agent that's designed to just really make great social media posts, things like that. Let's have fun. I'll just show you one. So I got agents along here. Could it be Star Trek themed again? It could be. So we've got one here based on the computer systems in Star Trek. So what do you see here? I have the ability in creating an agent. I have the ability to have an icon I can choose for it. I get a title. And I have, these are called starter prompts. So I have an option. These are things that I created. There's a subject and the actual prompt I want to use. So I can come in here and choose one of these. These are helpful to give people an idea of what you can do with this tool. So that's important too, is when you start building these, some examples to understand what could I, have answered by this agent. So let's just shoot one of these off. And this point, it's going to act and feel like I have just queried, a Copilot for this information. But there's a few things, and we'll go in and look at how I edited this and gave it instructions. We'll see some things in here like, oh, I've got a few little emojis down here, and I got engage at the bottom, some things like that. So this is one. This is just a generic question about how warp drive works. I'm going to come back to my prompts. And this agent, I actually have the ability, I told it there are two main things that you can do. The second one in this case is generate lists and tables of user accounts, like fake user accounts. This is giving it, this gave it to me in a table. I didn't ask for that up here, but it gave it to me in that way. I think if you ask for this, typically something like this without this agent, the output of that is just going to be maybe like a bulleted list in some way. You're probably not getting an actual table out of it. So that is something that you can decide in your set of instructions. So let's look at how what this looks like behind the scenes to get started. I've got my list of agents along the right-hand side, and I'm going to come down here. This is something that hopefully will change down the road. Feels a little weird to go figure out how to edit the things that you've created. Is create an agent. And at the top here, there's a little breadcrumb that shows me the agents I've created, my agents, these agents that I've created. Should show me my list here, and this is where I can come in and edit this. So I'm going to edit this, and let's give an idea of what it looks like and is set up as. So it's easy to come in and edit, change an icon out, bring up an icon of some sort. I usually create it around 400, 500 pixels square. It needs to be under 1 megabyte in size, PNG. It can be transparent, so you can get it to work in maybe light or dark mode. You get a name and you get a description. And these can be part, I would say your description and name are still are important for this agent to understand what it's doing. It's learning from what you're telling it is, the description, what it is, to help it know what to do for you.
And this helps the users that are going to use the agent, because there's the possibility to share an agent with a colleague. Like
Yep.
agents become valuable. Well,
Yep.
just like a prompt becomes valuable. If you have a thing that you do all the time and you developed a prompt that makes that thing take half as much time as it used to, that's like directly connected to like almost a dollar figure, right? Of being valuable. Well, agents are like that, but even more so. And so if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I created this really cool Star Trek agent and I want to share it with my buddy, what you put in that description will show up when they use it so that they understand what it does.
Great. Yeah, we'll show the sharing there and how you can do that very, very easily. I'm gonna see if I can paste this whole thing that I've done into the chat here for fun. If you want to see this Star Trek one, and see what that looks like. So a little bit easier to see the instructions that we have set up here. So I gave it. I'm just telling it. You've got 2 primary purposes. One other thing to notice here. You've got a lot of text you can work with. We've got 8,000 tokens here, and maybe that's words. I need to count that up, but I think that's usually tokens. Sorry, if it's words, it's words. But you've got a lot of text that you can use to describe what you want this agent to do for you. So again, I've got 2 primary purposes, and you can follow along a little bit easier in the text, but those on screen. I want it to provide, let's see here, where it is. Basically general knowledge of Star Trek universe. You're designed to return accurate, detailed, engaging knowledge across basically all the movies, the TV series, books, things like that. I could say maybe I only want you to return information about the Star Trek original series. Lock it down. I only care about TOS, original series. But now I'm coming in here and giving it some better detailed information. The comprehensiveness of my responses, how I want them tailored. You're okay to use some nerdy language. You can use quotes, emojis, cross-referencing, etc. I've got a bunch of options in here that I came up with how I wanted this to react. And always, end on a fun, engaging exit. Set phasers to fun, something like that. But then it's like, I also want you to do something else, and that is generate tables of user accounts based on the Star Trek universe. So I'm telling it generate a table, same thing. I'm telling it the exact output I want. I want a username. I want a given name. I want first name, last name, email. I want a fake password. I want the domains based upon the character that it chose, etc. These details it will follow. And so be thinking about the output too. Do you want tables? Do you want bullets? Things like that. One thing I like to do that I haven't updated this one is something like a finish. Let's see. In this one, I would do like finish with 3 follow-up questions. That might be to have available. Let's say in a bulleted list. Okay, so I made a little change to this. I can hit update. Going to update the agent, make that available. And then from this interface, we're going to see as one way enabling you to, like Dwayne was saying, if you are producing something that's really helpful to you, is how to share that out. So I've got right here, change share settings. This is, this is only for me if I want. And I'm just going to hit dismiss because there's another way to see it, which is up here at the share button. And this is easier to see your options. So I can have just specific people I want to share this with, or everybody in your organization. They're not going to, I don't think they're not going to like immediately see this show up in their list of agents. This is something that this link you could post somewhere, share it in an email, and there's basically a little, like an installation process that just basically brings that agent up into your list along the right-hand side, and you can pin that agent if you use it often at that point. But yeah, you can share this, set that up. I could send this off and start using it, go straight to my agent. And I'll see if it picked up that last little update for us. Yep, there's our 3 follow-up questions, just like that. It's already active. And what do we love about Copilot is sourcing. So it tells me where it got this information from too. Really helpful, especially doing research. You want to know, can you confirm that information is accurate? Where did it come from? So let's, we're gonna pick, we picked a organization here.
They're on the call.
Yeah, oh, that's good. That's perfect. That's perfect. We're going to save you all some time. But we're going to go through creating one by one. I mean, you could have created this this fun Star Trek one, but we'll show you one that is designed, because what we do, we talk about extension, design for extension agents, and work with that. So I'm going to start fresh. I'm just going to go back up to Copilot in my list here. Oh yeah, one thing to show you here is you can see I've got this little pin. I can pin the ones that I create or pin ones that someone has shared with me when those show up in this case. I'm going to hit create an agent. And we're going to start fresh here. One thing maybe to think about before we do this real quick is the ability to use some templates, because these will give you a good idea of templates that Microsoft has created and like the set of instructions that are in there. So you've got idea coach, career coaches. These are templates. I would generate a couple of these for yourself and look through the descriptions and the instructions to give you an idea. But we're going to click configure. Don't need to start with a template of any sort. And let's just walk through this. So the first thing, we need to give this a name. I'm going to start off with, here's our name. I'm going to drop that into the chat if you all want to try this along the way. So extension link. And I think I'm going to leave the logo maybe for a little bit later. we need to describe what this is going to do for us. We are going to build an agent just for extension agents, an agent for extension agents.
An extension agent.
Yes.
Got it.
So here is my description. What are we going to do? Who might this be for? That might be for our friends over at Penn State. So I have dropped that into the chat. So that is our description, what we want this to do. What we want this to be able to do is have an agent that knows about all the great research that has been produced and created by Penn State, and be able to use the large language model to understand that information, understand the prompt that we have to request about this information, and return information grounded, web grounded in this information. That's our description. I think that's probably pretty straightforward what we want and expect from this. And this, again, this description, as you can see on the right-hand side, is what's going to show up for the end user who's going to look at this. So that description, take advantage of that, give them some ideas of what this can do and its purpose in that case.
And this is like a build it and try it. Now, he hasn't filled out enough yet for it to light up for him to try it, but you can play and then test all in the same interface.
So next, we're going to feed it some set of instructions now, how we want this to act, how we want our queries to work. We want to try to reduce errors. We want it to work with just a specific set of information that we're going to, in the next step, tell it we want all this information to come from a certain website. How we want our responses. We want a professional in tone. We want to have some follow-up questions to help us think about how we can continue researching what it is that we've been asking. So I'll drop that into our chat. So that is your set of instructions along the way. If you have your own dedicated kind of website with a lot of your extension information, I mean, you could change out a couple of these words along the way. And then in the next step, you would do something slightly differently in this case too. But what we're going to do here is we want to have the ability to search a certain website. And in this case, for Penn State, there is a single website that seems to have the majority of the information related to all the extension publications and work that they have produced. We're going to turn that on. I just put that in there and hit enter. That's going to automatically give me this web. It's turning on this web search. You're going to see you're seeing a little bit of extra information here because I have a full Copilot license. If you have that, you're going to see what I see. If you don't, you're just going to see the ability to add a website. I think you can add up to 4 websites that can be used to return questions to your prompts.
While you're there, sorry, I'm throwing you off.
No.
I want everyone, if you are following along or if you're watching the recording, a really handy piece of information is that learn more link that's right smack in the center of where it says knowledge. That will take you to the documentation that lets you know, here's what I can use for knowledge. Here's the limitations. Here's how many I can have. Here's how big they can be. All that stuff's right there.
I'll drop that.
I want to send you down a rabbit hole, but chat. I know it usually comes up and like where you said you can add up to 4 URLs is listed right there in the middle.
Okay, that's great. I think actually that was actually important to bring up because this is something that we were discussing recently. Where did that go? Get a little too big. Here we go. This part right here, web content. The concept around URLs that we can work with. if your website, I'm thinking a lot of us use perhaps WordPress, and it's very common to have a post in WordPress have a folder path. You got your domain name. Usually you'll have your year, you might have your month, you might have a day, then you might have the name of the blog post, something like that. That is getting like 4 or 5 deep URLs. Those pages will be discoverable and usable through this tool if you were to provide to the agent a URL that stopped at just the domain name or 1 or 2 levels further. So maybe if you wanted to have this agent only look at 2005 posts from your site, and this A was 2005, you could pass that into the Copilot agent that we're building and say, just kind of show me everything that's like from a subfolder of that. Redirects aren't going to work. It's going to see like your end result. I know Dwayne and I went down a rabbit hole of discovering where some content was from. It was a government site, and you click one link to try to get to a file and the data, and you went through like 3-4 more hoops, and eventually you ended up on the final website. That is where where the data really lives. That is what you would want to try to use and lock, kind of ground this agent in that. So if you have a bunch of redirects going on to get to the person where they really want to be at, you need to be using that final location in this tool. So let's go back and let's finish this up. And again, what's really important are some starter prompts. And I'll drop all the starter prompts in here for you all in this case. And I'll just put a couple in here for the sake of this, to finish this out. How did I come up with these? I actually used Copilot to look over this website. I said, hey, using this website, I am building a Copilot chat agent, and I need some starter prompts across a broad range of information available here. I let Copilot write these for me. So I'm going to put a couple in here real quick, and we'll finish this out. And you can see along the right-hand side, it's starting to build this up for us. Let's put one more in there. All right, that gives us an idea here. So we've got our capabilities here of our starter prompts. We've got our descriptive text that the end user is going to see. We've got a name for it, and I think that's good right now. I'm going to hit create. And we'll have a link that we can use, or we can jump straight into the agent. Or we can immediately go start changing the sharing settings and send this out to people at your university. Let's go to this agent.
I just want to say it out loud too, because it kind of came up in the chat earlier. This is internal. This is not an agent that you publish to the public web that anybody in the world could use. This is something you would publish for a colleague.
So let's see. Let's go through. Choose one of these. Let it go. It's giving us an idea of what it's doing, how it's thinking. There's our sources. These are all under extension PSU, the website that we wanted them to do, wanted to choose that. I can, like, this looks great. If I want to keep this, I could hit edit in pages. That'll quickly shove this over into a loop component that I can share with someone. I could share this out with someone if I wanted to, or keep chatting with this agent, start and continue to add on to this, this loop. It generated some questions because I told it in my instructions I wanted it to give me some follow-up questions related to this information if I wanted it to. So I could just easily copy this and continue on investigating, exploring this as I wanted to go. Having the ability to do a natural language search against your corpus of data instead of a keyword search is really, really helpful. And the ability, like there's some more great information. I'm over here in my loop. I can just say add to page. That's going to keep all that running information now that I've been learning through Copilot over in a loop component.
So use
Keep running
case,
with this.
customer calls you, asks you a question. Master gardener sitting in the front lobby is fielding questions, whatever it might be. This would give them a really quick task focused resource that you have controlled where it generates its information from. So Joe programmed it to say only answer questions using the Penn State Extension website. And then the big benefit, in my opinion, not only do you get the guide that it created, you get the resources, the articles, the publications, the fact sheets, whatever they might be, directly from your site that you are included as references at the bottom.
Oh, yeah, and Copilot is a great creator of these prompts, great creator of the set of prompts, helping you enhance like your instructions. Or, is there output you forgot about? Things like that. Again, you've got that quite in the instructions. You've got a lot of words you can use there. There's a lot of space to put information in there. You could set this up to have output in different formats if you want, things like that. We didn't add poultry to this one. Okay. We'll get that into a starter prompt for the next one. Anyways, that's pretty much it for creating these agents. Just what are you doing often? What makes you go, what makes you sigh? What makes you go, I got to figure this out again. I got to I'm going to go research the thing. Imagine using this as a learning tool. Extension agents, you can never stop learning. There is new research produced, and there's a new research paper, and you've got to produce something that the citizens of your state put it in their language and understand that. Having maybe an agent that helps break down a research paper and help you produce an extension document, things like that you need to do consistently. Create an agent to help you. What are the things you're always thinking about when you do that work? Write that into the instructions. And there was a question about, I've created this and I want to update this. How do I get back to that real quick? Yeah, it is kind of difficult to find that right now. I'm just going to go back up into new chat so I can see my list of agents here on the right-hand side, and where I got create an agent, I can come back into create an agent. And along the top, I've got this breadcrumb that lists my agents. That's where I'm going to see the things that I have created previously. I can come back in and edit those. Something to think about is you can download this zip, pull it offline. I've not seen a way to upload this in this interface, but that might be something good to do. There are some advanced Agent Studio tools where that probably is useful. And another thing to think about is that right now this is tied to my account. Be thinking about the life cycle of these agents. And that is, maybe you develop these, have a few people test them, work on them, but maybe, we talk often about something like a service account that's not directly tied to a single person, maybe where to build those agents out and work that way. But that's it for our agents. I think we're about on time.
Should call this agents for agents,
Yes.
I mean, I think just kudos to Joe, like live on a call. Obviously, there was some pre-work done here, which we always do, try to be prepared, but created an agent that will answer anything that Penn State Extension has that you want to ask about. Like, that's pretty cool, I think. And that gives you an idea of that's a task specific kind of thing. I have questions. You could zero it in even further, right? Like I'm only asking or answering questions about testing your soil. You could put that in there. But it's a task-based agent. It's tied to a particular subject or process. And that's what agents are going to bring to the table is we're going to start making our own little bots, our own little assistants that help us with something. So good job, Joe. That was awesome.
I think they need a poultry agent. Is that what I'm seeing in the chat? Just one dedicated to poultry. It sounds
you can
like
call it Big Bird or whatever you want to call it. So, we'll hang out for a little bit. I know we're about 2 minutes over, but we'll hang out for a little bit. If you have questions about this, if you're watching the recording, we thank you for sticking it out, and hopefully you found this pretty cool. I mean, it's easy for me and Joe to get excited about it because we're geeks, but we want to know if this is something that you think is useful, if you think is cool, because that's ultimately what we're trying to make sure we stick to is stuff that you find useful.
We'd love for you to share your agents. What are you doing in this case? That would be great to hear. Chat's open between the meetings, so come up with something cool. That'd be great to hear.
Chat runs all year round. So awesome. Well, thanks, Joe. Good job on that, bud.
Thanks.